What if Qui-Gon Jinn had lived on in the prequels to train Anakin Skywalker? This is FanScription. This one's been in the making for a while. I've heard quite a bit from you guys about this scenario since it won a poll on my Twitter a few months ago. We've said in the past that we weren't interested in improving the Star Wars prequels since they've been rewritten by everyone and their grandma for 15 years now, but this what if intrigued me enough to check if you wanted to see it, and you did. Now, it's not the most original idea in the world, and I'm sure plenty of others have covered it, but I think I may have a unique take on the situation. I've always liked Qui-Gon Jinn, and his effect on an older Anakin would really shake up the trilogy. There's been supplemental material released about Qui-Gon in the Clone Wars show, comics, etc., and not all of it is canon anymore since the Disney takeover, but it did help give me more perspective on this character. So what we'll be covering here is not just Qui-Gon himself, but how his physical presence would influence Skywalker and those around him as the prequel trilogy progressed. Our changes start in The Phantom Menace. We're not going to alter too much of this story as it still provides the setup that we need, but a few things will be different. Firstly, I want to make Anakin more of a charming, streetwise smartass. He smarts off to Watto, Qui-Gon, and his mom a few times during this story, and can be pretty irreverent for a 9-year-old. It's more obvious young Anakin covers up his fear and anger with his mouth. He's still seen having a crush on Padme and might even try harder to show off to her. When Qui-Gon speaks with Shmi concerning glimpses of Anakin's force powers, she mentions that he's prone to outbursts, and when he's that angry, strange things happen. The relationship with Obi-Wan and Anakin will be different here too. Kenobi actually joins the main group on Tatooine and meets Skywalker there. They bond over their shared, somewhat bold attitudes. Obi-Wan is the only person who can match Anakin's dry wit, and the young one quickly attaches himself to Kenobi. Even though Obi-Wan likes Anakin and sympathizes with him and his mother's situation, he can see the anger in Skywalker, and still feels he's too dangerous to be trained.
The boy is dangerous. They all sense it, why can't you?
His fate is uncertain. He's not dangerous.
The group leaves Tatooine with Anakin, and most of the events in the film play out the same way, although it is a bit more entertaining when Anakin is brought in front of the Council. He doesn't take it very seriously, and there is early tension built between the boy and Mace Windu specifically. Then, we get to the final battle on Naboo.
Hey, wait for me!
Anakin, stay where you are. You'll be safe there.
But
Stay in that cockpit.
When Darth Maul shows up, the group splits, but this version of Anakin can't help himself and gets a closer look at the lightsaber fight. He stays just out of sight as his friends battle the Sith apprentice. The conflict reaches the laser gate area as Obi-Wan is knocked down by Maul, his lightsaber hilt cut in two by one of the gates. Anakin is concerned and gets a little too close. This is when the combatants notice him.
Anakin, run!
With Qui-Gon distracted, he's knocked down by Maul. Seeing that the Jedi obviously care for the boy, he pulls him forward with the Force and rears back to stab him. Just then, Obi-Wan leaps in the way and takes a lightsaber through the chest. Qui-Gon immediately rises and engages Maul even more furiously. They're past all the gates now and fight above the bottomless pit. The final gate closes with Anakin and Obi-Wan behind it. As Obi-Wan lies dying, he can only mouth a few words to his young friend.
Annie, I'm sorry,
With that, Obi-Wan Kenobi dies in Skywalker's arms. Tears of sadness slowly turn to tears of rage as Anakin rises. The laser gates open, and Maul and Qui-Gon both sense a powerful presence. Incensed, Skywalker screams at the top of his lungs. Pure power emanates from the boy as his instincts and anger take hold. Maul is closer to Anakin and is force pushed back. He loses his footing and falls right into the slicing motion of Qui-Gon's lightsaber. The apprentice is split in half and falls down the pit in 2 pieces. Qui-Gon looks back to see Anakin faint from exhaustion. He sees Obi-Wan's dead body lying next to Skywalker and drops to his knees in agony. Throughout this sequence, we still cross-cut between the Gungan battle and the Trade Federation ship being blown up. Who does it isn't that important. It could be a new character, or the more likely choice is Jar Jar's buffoonery somehow resulting in him blowing up the ship in a similar manner to the original with Anakin. Everything post-climax remains the same, except it's Obi-Wan's body that is cremated and Qui-Gon preparing to train Anakin. It's obvious through these final scenes that Qui-Gon is extremely affected by Obi-Wan's death, and he seems very protective of the young Skywalker, even more than before. This leads us into Episode 2. Hey everybody, guess what? Awesome Comics is back!
We're back!
Awesome Comics and Coffee, and we're live on Twitch!
You can find us at 11 a.m. Central Time on twitch.tv/channelawesome, where we get to interact with you guys, the viewers, on live chat.
Where we get to cover cool entertainment news and comic book related things.
I hope you guys check us out this weekend and every weekend. Also, past episodes are up on there if you want to check out some of our old episodes. Hope to see you there! Bye! 10 years following the events of The Phantom Menace, Qui-Gon and Anakin are dispatched to protect Padme after an attempt on her life. Qui-Gon is now in his late 50s. He's even wiser than he was in Episode 1, with distinguished gray streaks in his hair and even a few popping up in his beard. He's very protective of Skywalker since he believes now more than ever that he is the chosen one. However, this belief has also somewhat blinded him to a few shortcomings his apprentice may have. Anakin himself is much different than in the original film. Under Qui-Gon, he's better trained and much more mindful of his feelings. There's a strong father-son bond between these two that has grown stronger over the years. Due to this, Anakin reveres his master and seems more obedient than in the film, but still has a mischievous and reckless side that comes out in certain situations. This different attitude would affect his relationship with Padme. Since he's more reserved and in control of his feelings, he's able to suppress and hide his affection for the older Amidala, at least at first. After a second attempt on the Senator's life, the Jedi Council decides that Qui-Gon be tasked with tracking down the bounty hunter behind it all. This leaves Anakin to protect Padme alone on Naboo. Qui-Gon is at first objective to this, wanting to keep Anakin close by, but he relents when Skywalker says he can be trusted to do the job. Qui-Gon finds out about Kamino during his investigation as Anakin and Padme get reacquainted on their trip. It takes a bit of prodding from Padme, but Skywalker slowly lets some of his guard down. That impish boy from Tatooine is still beneath the surface.
It must be difficult having sworn your love to the Jedi. Not being able to visit the places you like or do the things you like.
Attachment is forbidden.
You've changed so much.
There's obvious chemistry between the two, but it's not at the forefront of their scenes together. Anakin has been trained to be cautious of his emotions, and any hints of a romance between the pair are relegated to eye contact and smiles. Meanwhile, Qui-Gon basically fills Obi-Wan's role of traveling to Kamino to try and find the elusive bounty hunter. He uncovers the clone army and discovers Jango Fett. That thread remains the same. Anakin and Padme scenes continue with more and more hints of attraction, but they're always discussing matters pertinent to the plot. Padme is rightfully worried about the Separatist situation, and we can even learn about Count Dooku in these scenes. Amidala can talk about who he is as the leader of the rebellion against the Republic, and we learn from Anakin who he was in relation to the Jedi Order. He was Qui-Gon's master after all, so Skywalker would know a lot about him from that perspective. This subject can even be a bit of a wedge between them.
I still think all signs point back to him. Not just my assassination attempts, but more aggressive maneuvers that could lead us to war.
Master Qui-Gon has assured me that Dooku may have simply lost his way, but he would never do anything drastic like murder an innocent or start a war. It's not in his character, milady.
I'm starting to think the Jedi don't know much about his character at all.
From here, Anakin begins to dream of his mother in life-threatening distress. He knows these dreams are too real to be coming from his own head. They're a warning. Despite this, he's still committed to his duty of protecting the Senator, but Padme can tell something is wrong, and when she hears of Anakin's suspicions, she convinces him to go back to Tatooine and check on his mother. She also joins him on the journey. Once back home, Anakin tracks down where his mother had lived these past years on the Lars moisture farm. There, he meets the Lars family, including Owen and Klieg. Also, we find out that Shmi had given birth to another boy just 6 months prior. Anakin is shown his half-brother, so fragile and suffering without his mother, but feels no connection to him. The young Jedi, regretfully, feels emptiness. This was the life he left behind, and his mother was the only connection to it he had left. He then finds out where the Tusken Raiders have taken Shmi and races to save her. Anakin makes it just in time to see her die in his arms. This not only hurts enough on its own, but brings back memories of Obi-Wan's death from all those years ago. Rage again swells within him, and all Qui-Gon's training isn't enough to stop what follows. He exits the tent his mother was kept in and is attacked by one of the raiders. He retaliates viciously, and they cut away before any more is seen. Qui-Gon is still filling the same role Obi-Wan did in the original movie. After a battle on Kamino, he tracks Jango Fett to Geonosis, where he sees the Separatist Council meeting. About to transmit his findings, he feels the same disturbance in the Force Yoda does, and can sense that Anakin is in immeasurable pain. He transmits his signal to Anakin's position on Tatooine to check on his apprentice, and have him pass along his findings to the Council on Coruscant. Anakin returns to the Lars farm with the body of his mother, and we have a similar scene to the original with him and Padme. Anakin is still furious, but is also terrified of what he just did. He's more vague here, so all we know is he lost control and people are dead because of it. This is the most emotional we've seen him so far. As he tries to calm himself, he keeps repeating how he let Master Qui-Gon down, and he shouldn't have done what he did. This is the first time he and Padme share a real moment. She comforts him.
To be angry is to be human.
I'm a Jedi. I know I'm better than this.
Anakin and the Lars family bury Shmi at the farm as Skywalker leaves with Padme right after. He hasn't the nerve to even look his baby brother in the face before he goes. Back at the ship, they receive the distress call from Qui-Gon and pass it on to the Council. Qui-Gon fills everyone in on the Separatist situation before appearing to be captured. Mace Windu tells Anakin to stay away from Geonosis and protect Padme. There's never been any love lost between Anakin and Windu. That, in combination with his connection to Qui-Gon and their close proximity to Geonosis, lead Anakin to act. Padme agrees, and the pair are off to save Qui-Gon Jinn. Qui-Gon is held captive as Obi-Wan was in the film when Count Dooku enters the room.
Get him down, now!
A pair of Geonosians shut off the power, keeping Qui-Gon suspended in the air. He hits the ground with a thud.
So kind of you, Master. Are you all right, my friend? What's going on here? The Trade Federation bounty hunters? You've fallen a long way, Dooku. My apprentice, you must be able to see what the Republic has become. Have you not felt the dark side in the Senate? Dark side? I see you have been blinded as well. Hundreds of senators are now under the influence of a Sith Lord called Darth Sidious. The Viceroy of the Trade Federation was once in league with him. He was betrayed 10 years ago and came to me for help. He told me everything. No, that's not possible. Have you forgotten what I've taught you? Rarely are things in the galaxy black or white. Evil ambitions can be masqueraded under pure intentions. You must join me, Qui-Gon, and together we will destroy the Sith.
Qui-Gon is speechless for a moment.
I must meditate on this. If what you say is true, everyone is in danger. Don't take too long. We wouldn't want another Padawan to fall during your inaction, would we?
Qui-Gon is stung by the comment and looks up to see Dooku exit the room. Anakin and Padme arrive on Geonosis, and after a scuffle, they are captured as well. Before being brought out into the arena to be executed, they share a quiet moment. Padme, I'm sorry. I should have never brought you here.
I decided to come with you, Anakin. You were not to blame.
You're right. This is all your fault. Padme can't help but let out a small smile at Anakin's playful attempt at humor.
We're about to die and you're making fun of me?
Just wanted to see you laugh one more time. A silence falls between them as Padme and Anakin stare deeply into each other's eyes.
Anakin.
Padme is cut off as they're dragged out into the arena. The pair are chained to the giant pillars and surrounded by hundreds of Geonosians. The Separatist Council looks on from up above as Qui-Gon Jinn is led into the arena in cuffs. Master! Anakin is relieved but worried to see the Jedi Master.
Time is up, Qui-Gon. You either join me or another one of your apprentices die. The choice is yours.
Qui-Gon looks to Anakin, then back to Dooku.
Is this what you've become, Master Dooku? Threatening your own kind? You can't simply impose your will as you see fit. Peace is not something you can coerce. Then you've made your choice? It seems so, my old master.
The others on the council look to Dooku, who almost hesitantly waves his hand. Qui-Gon is chained onto the third pillar as the animals are let out into the arena. The trio manage to break free through the same means as the original movie and kill a few of the beasts before destroyer droids are sent out to finish the job. Just then,
Master Windu, how pleasant of you to join us. This party's over.
a whole slew of Jedi descend onto the arena and free Qui-Gon, Anakin, and Padme while fighting the droids. They gain the upper hand before Dooku tells his subordinate,
"Bring out the general."
Another gate opens, revealing General Grievous. He's wielding 2 electro staffs and an army of battle droids. Grievous kills more than a few Jedi with his cybernetic quickness as the remaining heroes are surrounded in the middle of the arena. Just before they are fired upon, Yoda ascends from the sky with a battalion of clone troopers. They neutralize the droids and escape with the survivors. Things progress the same way until Qui-Gon and Anakin meet Dooku in a lightsaber battle. Anakin listens to Qui-Gon as they take on Tyrannus at the same time. The Jedi seem to have Dooku on the ropes when he blasts Qui-Gon with Force Lightning and quickly cuts off Anakin's right hand, force pushing him against the rock wall. As Dooku starts to walk away, Qui-Gon struggles to stand.
"This battle is over, my old Padawan. Tend to your boy and fight another day."
Dooku turns back around, but Qui-Gon force jumps in front of him, blocking his way. He stands defiantly in front of his former master.
"Very well. I have protected you long enough."
The duel that ensues lasts a good few minutes and is dead even. Anakin groggily looks on, surprised to see his master fighting so passionately before going unconscious. Dooku fires out more Force Lightning that is blocked by Qui-Gon's lightsaber. As the Jedi pushes forward against the electricity, Dooku swings around and slashes Qui-Gon's shoulder. He goes down. Dooku raises his saber above his head for the killing strike when a large structure flies through the air at him. He has to drop his saber to stop it. When it drops, Yoda is standing on the other side of the room.
Master Yoda.
Count Dooku.
They trade throwing more large objects with more lightning until Dooku collapses another structure onto Qui-Gon and Anakin. Qui-Gon covers his apprentice before Yoda stops the structure. Dooku escapes in his ship as the Jedi are saved. Dooku is shown returning to his secret chamber on Coruscant, where he takes a hologram message from Darth Sidious.
"Welcome home, Lord Tyrannus. You have done well."
"I have good news for you, my lord. War has begun."
"Excellent. Everything is going as planned."
"Indeed it is."
Sidious cuts off the transmission. Dooku looks around the room and smiles.
"Indeed it is."
Back at the Jedi Temple, Qui-Gon is speaking with Yoda and Mace Windu.
"Regardless if there is a Sith controlling the Senate, the Jedi should not be involved in this war. We're keepers of the peace, not soldiers.
Our participation in this war may be the only way we can keep the peace."
This is a deception of the dark side, can't you see? I want no part of it. And I don't want Anakin involved either.
Your Padawan has already shown great enthusiasm in leading some of our troops. When he returns from escorting Senator Amidala home, we'll already be meeting about battle strategies. I'm afraid with or without you, he'll still be putting himself in harm's way.
Qui-Gon is silent for a moment. He knows he can't leave Anakin alone and will have to join the fight. After a moment, he affirmatively nods his head.
The shroud of the dark side has fallen. Begun. The Clone War has.
As we see the clone army assemble in front of Palpatine, we cut back to Dooku's chamber. He unlocks a door, and as it rises, Darth Maul is revealed. He's training with his red lightsaber as his legs are seen to be cybernetic. He looks stronger than ever.
"Our time is approaching, apprentice. Soon we will strike, and it is you and I that will rule the galaxy. Not the Jedi, and not the man who abandoned you in your time of need. The true Sith will prevail."
"Yes, Master."
In the final scene, Padme and Anakin are saying their goodbyes on Naboo. They're privately talking against the setting sun and beautiful reflective water in the background.
When we were about to die in that awful place, I wanted to say something. And if I don't say it now, I may never.
Padme, attachment is forbidden.
Is love?
They finally kiss on the scenic backdrop as the music swells and credits begin. And that is where we'll end Part 1. Qui-Gon's continued influence on the story definitely would have impacted the prequels in some heavily significant ways. And we're not done yet. Next up, what if Qui-Gon Jinn was in Revenge of the Sith? Until then, make sure you share this video if you liked it, and keep an eye out for the FanScription podcast where I talk more about how Qui-Gon's involvement in the prequels would have played out. See you soon, and may the Force be with you.